Hi everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you don't miss out on any of the crafty content we have coming. Now today's video, we are going to be doing some work with the Glowforge. However, I'm going to teach you how to make an SVG in Inkscape. So if you are a CRICUT user, stay tuned because I think you're going to pick up some tips and tricks on working with Inkscape, with shapes, with text, all that stuff. So be sure to check it out because I do think it will be helpful. Now we're going to be making these really fun little tokens. These are super popular for Easter time, Christmas time. You can put these in the kids' Easter baskets, things like that, and write little like sayings on them. Like this one says no chores. They can get candy. We have a game night so they can play a game. There's money ones. So there's a lot of different options that you can do for these, and they're not just for like a holiday. You can make these for, chore charts. They can earn these, lots of fun things that you can do with them. So don't feel like they're just for a holiday. You really have a lot of options. So let's head over to Inkscape and I'm going to show you how to build the SVG for these.
Whatever we would do, we do it just for fun.
For this Glowforge tutorial, we're going to be working in Inkscape. This is one of my favorite places to work in when it comes to creating SVGs for both Glowforge, CRICUT, Silhouette, all the things. So even if you are a CRICUT user, I think you'll pick up some tips and tricks on working with the Inkscape software. So for our Easter basket tokens, the first thing I'm going to start with is a circle. The circle can be found over on the left-hand side, and it's this red circle right here. Go ahead and click on that, and if you want it to be a perfect circle, hold Control while you pull your circle out. Now I'm going to make it pretty big right now, but I'll size it down here in just 1 second for you. Because sizing on here is so similar to using Design Space that if you are a Design Space user, you're going to be able to do this no problem. So what I want to do is I'm going to select the little selection tool, which is just the arrow at the very top of the little icons on the left-hand side. Then over here at the top of the screen, you'll see that we have width, a lock, height, and then it's got the measurements. The first thing that I always do is I'm going to click the lock just to make sure that everything stays within scale. And then I prefer to measure in inches, so I'm going to change that to inches. Now I want my circle just to be a 2-inch circle. That seems to be a pretty decent size for these tokens, but you can truly make them any size that you want to. Now I'm going to go ahead and move this up here just so that it's kind of going to be where we're spacing everything out. Because with my Glowforge, I like to try to really save materials. So I'm going to go ahead and just try to fit as many as I can in like a smaller space. Now we're going to make multiples of these, but I'm going to design kind of the outside edge of it first before I go in and add anything else. So for this one, I want to use the SVG that I actually used for my mystery box with the trays. And you can get that free on my website at my blog. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click File and I want to choose Import. Then all I need to do is find the file that I'm looking for. I'm looking for the circle and square, so I'm going to select those. Now what you'll see here is I have my circle and my square that I used in that tutorial. What I need to do is ungroup these so I can get rid of the square because we're not going to use that. So to ungroup, you can either go up to Object and click Ungroup, or over on the side, you can use the Ungroup panel over here. Now, like I said, I'm not going to use my square, so I'm going to select it and delete that. I want to use the little circle here. I think it's super cute, really fun, easy to work with. But I do want to change the color because I'm going to actually score this line on my Glowforge, and then I'm going to engrave the wording. So you need to make the different elements different colors. So what we'll do is we're going to size this down, and I'm holding Control on my keyboard, and then I just grabbed one of the corners, and I want to make it decently smaller than 2 inches so that it fits inside of our circle. Now, I know that's hard to see, so you can zoom in by holding Control and using your mouse to scroll in. Just makes it a lot easier. Now I will say these colors are a little bit harsh on my eyes, so I am going to change those because I imagine that those are probably not the most pleasant on your eyes either. So I'm just trying to find something that's a little like less bright. There we go. That's pretty good. That's a little bit less intense. Now we can add text to these and make as many as we want. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to actually select my circle and my little like sketchy circles. I'm going to use Control C and then Control V, and I'm going to make a couple of copies. That way I have a few of them to work with. So I usually make like 9 of them, different designs. It's really up to you and the way you want to design them and what kind of wording you want and what kind of designs you want to do on them. It's totally up to you. You can do whatever, but I like to make about 9. I feel like that gives me a good variety of options to put on these, and then you can really put whatever wording you want, because these are used as like little like prizes, if you will, that you find in Easter eggs. So now what I want to do, I'm going to zoom out a bit just so we have a little room to work where we're not right on top of our circles. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to open up my text. My text right here is this big A over on the left-hand side, just about center. I'm going to click anywhere on the screen, and the first thing that I'm going to choose, let's do the money ones first. So I'm going to do 50 cents, oops, not 5 cents. And then I'm going to do $1 as well. But first thing I want to do is change my font. So I don't really want the retro groovy font. It's a little too fat and too weird for me. So what you'll do is, just like in Design Space, if you use that, it's up in the upper left-hand corner. You're going to choose your font over here. Now mine does take a second to load all of my fonts because I do have so many. Now you can choose any font that you want. It's really up to you and the way you want it to look. Oh Wonder Sans Bold is a really favorite of mine, especially for things like this. I think that the numbers look really nice and the text looks really nice. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and first set this into one of my circles. Now you can use Control and kind of pull these out to size it. But then rather than opening an additional text box, just hit Control and V, and you can change the text without having to choose your font again. Now this one I'm going to make $1. And again, do whatever you want as far as like denominations, words, whatever works for your family or like your area. Like let's say you have an aquarium or something like that and you want them to go on an aquarium visit. You can do that kind of stuff too. So for this one, I'm going to say choose the movie. So they're going to get to choose the movie for the night. Now what you'll notice here is how far apart these words are. So just like in Design Space, they sometimes tend to be really far apart. But there is a little option up here for changing your letter spacing or your line spacing. So you can just hit the little down arrow and it will space it down a little bit. Now, that's still a little further than I'd want. So I'm going to go to like 0.7. Oops, not equal 0.7, just 0.7. See if that's a little closer. That's a little too close. So let's try like 0.5. Nope, that was even closer. That's not the way I wanted to go. Let's try like 0.8. 0.8 looks pretty good. So we're going to leave it there. And again, you'll just size it so that it fits into your circle. Now let's say, okay, maybe that font looks a little bit small when it comes to the like wording, and that's okay. It totally can, and you can change it. Just double click on it and go back to your font selection, and then you can go from there and find another font that you like that you want to use. There are so many different font options, so don't feel like you're stuck with like one type of font or one font. You can really use anything that you want. So this one is Moonflower, and I think this one's a little bit better because the words are a little tighter together. The little letters are cute. I think that'll work. Now I do want to change how this is, I do want to change how the font is, so I want it centered. So in order to change that, just up here at the top, you can just click on the center option and it will center your text so that it's more in line. Now again, I'm going to do Control C to copy that and then Control V down here. So you can really just make whatever words you want. So I'm going to do like Zoo Trip for this one. And we're going to go ahead and move it down a little. And we'll make it a little bit bigger because I do want the words to fill the circle pretty well. I think that looks pretty good. So then again, we're going to use Control V and let's do, let's see, dinner. So that means that kid gets to pick dinner. So maybe let's make it pick dinner. That might make more sense. Let's do pick dinner. That means that day the kid gets to say, okay, I want to have macaroni and cheese for dinner. or hot dogs or whatever. Let's do, let's see. How about we do... Now, I will say sometimes because I have a thin font, you'll notice that I keep accidentally grabbing the circle. It's because the font is really thin, so you need to make sure you're clicking on the font. So let's go with game night. Let's do game night. Okay, so there's another one to choose. And let's move that up a little bit. And then we can do, let's do no chores day. Let's just call it no chores. We can use that. No chores. So I'm going to go ahead and fill the next two out just to get them filled out where I want them. And then we will show you the next step because you do need to do another step with this. Now, once you have all of your different designs kind of figured out and what you want them to say, we do need to take the text and turn it into a path. That's the only way that it really turns it into a true SVG and allows the software to read what it needs to read. So what I want to do is I'm going to select each of my items. So I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to click on each of the words. Now, like I said, you want to make sure that you're clicking on to the word itself. So you want to get your mouse right over one of those letters and you want to click on that because you want to make sure you're selecting the font and not the circle. Now you can do this with all of them at once, which is super helpful. So I'm going to select all of those. And what I want to do is I'm going to go to path, which is just up here at the top. The very first option is object to path. You're going to click on that. Then you need to go to object and choose ungroup. Now what you'll see is all the letters and all the numbers have a little like dotted box around them. That means you're on the right track for this step. The next thing you want to go do is go to path and choose the word union, which is 5 down from the top. And that's going to create those all to be one piece. It's just a lot easier doing it that way. Now from here, all we simply have to do is go to File, and you want to click Save As, and then you want to save it as an SVG. I'm going to save it into my Glowforge, and I'm going to call this Tokens. And that's all we have to do in Inkscape. Now we're going to head over to the Glowforge software. Over in your Glowforge software, what you're going to do is click on Create a New Design. You want to choose Upload File, and then you want to find the file that you want to upload. So we called it Tokens. Now, it may take a second to process and to load into your Glowforge software. Once it's loaded in, you're going to see that you have all of your tokens. Now, they're a little bit hard to see when they go blue because we have everything. It just kind of defaults it to engrave. So what we want to do is make sure we have each of our sections set to the correct cut setting. Now my laser is not on, it's a little close to the microphone, so I don't like to turn it on until we're actually ready to cut. So I'm going to show you the steps here. So I'm just going to be using the medium draft board that comes with the Glowforge, like the Glowforge product. And what I'm going to do is this one's going to be set to engrave because these are our words. The circles, I want those to score. And then the actual big circles, I want those to cut. Now I want it to go in a certain order. So I want it to cut last. That way the circles don't accidentally like fall through the board and then kind of get messed up. So you always want to do cut last, which is something that I have to thank the Glowforge groups for because I never thought of that before, but that does make sense. So now we're pretty much ready to go. We just need to turn the Glowforge on, get our material put in, and then we will put this onto the material where it will fit. You may be hearing some buzzing in the background. That's just the laser turning on. So basically what I did, again, I just have everything set to the setting that I want. So I have my engrave set, and that's going to be the words. Then I have the score, and that is going to be the kind of like sketchy circles. And then we have the cut, which is the main circle. All I did was load some material. I have some extra material, and you can move these around on your material anywhere you really want to, but you'll notice that sometimes it turns red. That means it cannot cut. But you also want to avoid any places that you have previously cut. So like I wouldn't want to put it like here because it's not going to cut these correctly. So you want to put it on to a spot where you have solid material. Now, you see how it's kind of turning red? It's too close to the top, so you can move it down. And a lot of people don't know, but you can cut right over the QR code. It's totally fine. You can absolutely do that. I just try to do that last, but you can always manually select your material setting right here, if you know that you're using medium draft board, that QR code just allows it to automatically detect it. So it's definitely an option if you need to cut that section. So now that I have these set where I want them, I'm going to click on the word print. And what this is going to do is it's going to kind of go through, figure out where my material setting. It's going to do what's called auto focusing. So it's just going to kind of make sure that it's exactly where it's supposed to be and that the Glowforge read the material correctly. The next thing that it's going to do is to calculate how long this is going to take to do all of the steps. So the printing, or not the printing, I guess the engraving, the scoring, and the cutting. So I have Glowforge Premium, so mine is going to be a little bit faster. I did try it one time without Premium, and it was a little slower. So it's something to consider if you're looking at using your Glowforge a lot. I don't use mine a ton, but I do really love it. So this says 31 minutes, which seems crazy. So if you don't want to wait for 31 minutes, I'm going to show you a couple things that you can do. So let me cancel the print really quick, and I'm going to dismiss this edge. What I'm going to do from here is I'm going to go over to where this says engrave, and I'm going to change this to like draft graphic and see if that helps when it comes to the engraving section of it. And I just need to move it over a little bit again because you saw how it turned red. So now what I can do is, because I'm using a little bit less of a high quality engrave on this, we'll see if that changes the time. But you can definitely kind of mess with this, figure out like how long things are going to take, play around with the settings, play around with that type of stuff, just to get an idea of how long it will take. Look at how much less time that took with the draft engrave. The draft engrave looks fine to me, so we're going to go with that. You don't have to hit anything over here. We can just go right over to the Glowforge and get ready to score, engrave, and cut. Now that it's cooled down a bit, I'm going to go ahead and open this up and we can take out our little coins. Now I find it easier to take like the main part out, but like notice how this one's still stuck a little, and this one, sometimes they just get stuck by like the masking a little bit, so you can just pop them out. I'm gonna pull this door down so I can get this out easily, and then there are our coins. They're so fun. We do need to remove the masking from them, and then they'll be good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to remove masking. Once everything's cut out, there is a masking on the back and on the front of your wood. That really helps keep any of like this burn marking that you see off of your wood. So what you'll want to do is remove that. One way that I really like to do is to use this little plastic like razor blade. So you can see it's all plastic, completely safe. You can run your finger on it. It's not going to cut you. And the best part about that is that it's not going to damage your wood. So you can just run it over the edge here, and I like to just kind of get it right under the edge, and I'll usually just start it with the razor blade, and then I use my hands and I will peel the rest of the masking off. It's great for these little areas too, like these little small holes. It's easy to get that little plastic edge right under there and just start that peel. I think this is a great way to do this. You can also use things like duct tape. You can use just your fingernail, kind of whatever works for you. I don't really love using duct tape because I find it just adds another material that I have to throw away. But right here, just get this last piece off, and there is your little token all completely finished. Super easy to do. I'll get the one off the back as well. Now it's up to you. You can absolutely add color to these if you want to. You can stain them. You can really kind of do anything that you want, but I really like to leave them a little bit more plain. And I think they're super easy to do. This is a quick money maker if you're somebody who sells. This is also a really quick thing that you can do just to add to your own Easter baskets. Really fun, really easy. These are great for Easter egg hunts. Just a really fun little way that you can use your Glowforge. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of the masking off, and I'll show you what they all look like when we're done. Here's a close-up of our finished tokens. I just wanted to give you a nice close view of them. so you can see how cute they came out. Like I said, you can definitely add some embellishments, some stain, whatever you really want to these, but these are a super easy, quick make that you can use for all sorts of different events. The Glowforge is an awesome way to make some really cool things at home, and I really love it. Don't forget that you can save up to $500 on a machine at the link down below. I absolutely adore my Glowforge. It is probably one of my favorite things that I've added to my craft collection. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in these comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure that you're subscribed here, that way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting!